So, Memphis Grizzlies season preview. Last year, they finished with a 38-34 record, and they were the 9 seed in a very competitive West, which meant they were in the play-in. And in the play-in, they did very well. They beat the Spurs, and then they beat the Warriors, which meant they got the 8 seed and were in the playoffs. There, they lost to the Jazz in 5 games, but they really had a great season, and especially in the play-in and playoffs. Got contributions from young guys, got contributions from Ja. And yeah, overall, I thought it was a very good season for the Grizzlies, and they proved that they can be a winning team. I mean, 4 games over 500 is not easy, especially in the West. This offseason, they drafted Zaire Williams and Sandy Alduma. They also added Steven Adams and Jarrett Culver, whereas they lost Grayson Allen, Jonas Valanciunas, and Justice Winslow. So not a crazy offseason. I think they sort of chilled out a bit and maybe even took a step back just because they traded up to get the 10th pick where they drafted Zaire Williams, and they gave up Grayson Allen and Jonas Valanciunas, who were both key contributors, especially Valanciunas. If we look at a projected starting lineup at point guard, Morant. Last season, he averaged 19 points and 7.5 assists while shooting 30% from 3. So we'll see if he can really take that next step this year. I like that he's a good playmaker. He's an unselfish player. He's willing to work off ball and, commit to being a good teammate. But we'll see if just the raw numbers take a step up, or if the 3-point efficiency takes a step up, because he does have a lot of room for improvement, which is actually very exciting given how good he is already. So we'll see if this season is the year where he really steps up into, one of those top tier point guards and an all-star, or if he just sort of stays like how he is. I do believe he will take that next step, especially because I believe there will be a bit more scoring pressure on him without Valanciunas. Dillon Brooks, who last season averaged 17 points as well as 1.2 steals, he did contribute a lot of the shot creation, individual creation, especially in the playoffs. A lot of the time it was him going off the dribble. So we'll see if he does that more because Valanciunas isn't there to take some of the scoring, or if he does that less because Ja Morant takes a lot bigger of a load and he's more defense and spot up. I think either way, I think I would prefer if Dillon Brooks was more spot up and defense, but he does have some creation abilities, which sometimes it's like, this is great, he's creating and he can also play off ball, and sometimes it's like, chill Dillon Brooks, we don't need another mid-ranger there. So yeah, he's certainly a player who plays with a lot of emotion and blows hot and cold, but I think overall he makes a good positive contribution. At small forward, Kyle Anderson. Last year he averaged 12.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. One of the only players to ever weaponize his slowness. I mean, the guy is moving in slow motion, but he is a very effective player. He improved his 3-point shooting to 36%, which was very important because when he's off ball, when Ja Morant is on ball, that's obviously a very valuable skill. But he can also handle the ball. He can make the right pass. He can play decent defense. I think, we'll see if Desmond Bane ever comes into the starting lineup, or some of the young guys as the years go by get bigger roles. Maybe the rookie Zaire Williams, but I think right now Kyle Anderson is the perfect solid player for this team because he can do so many things. He can play off ball. He can handle the ball. He can play defense. He can play make, which is a nice fit with this Memphis Grizzlies team. At power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr., he only started 4 games last year, but in 1920, he averaged 17.5 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks while shooting 39% from 3. So we'll see if he can get back to that. I think he is a very exciting young player between the 3-point shooting at his size, but also some of the ability to take it off the dribble, to handle it, to get inside. I think that is also very exciting. Not to mention maybe his best asset, which is his defense, where the hope is he can protect the rim, but also be able to switch onto multiple players. So I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has a ton of potential and a super high ceiling. It just, if he can reach that, if he can become more consistent with the handle, if he can be that defensive beast, or if he's being slowed down by injuries. So, I hope he can stay healthy because, if he reaches his ceiling, this Grizzlies team with him and Ja could be very, very good for many, many years. And then at center, I think Steven Adams will start, average 7.5 points and 9 rebounds. I think he's a pretty decent fit in that he can defend, he can bang with bigger players, he can rebound, which is one of the Jaren Jackson Jr.'s weaknesses. I think, we saw how good Steven Adams was with Russell Westbrook, so we'll see if Ja Morant can have a similar effect, if there's more Ja Morant pick and roll, more of that stuff, more drop-off passes, more getting inside. I think Steven Adams could really benefit with playing with Ja Morant. I also think he fits the Grizzlies culture. They're a really tough team, a really solid defensive team. That was where a lot of their success came from last year. So, yeah, Steven Adams at center. Off the bench, Tyus Jones averaged 6 points and 4 rebounds last year. He's a really solid backup point guard. The Grizzlies' second unit, they just have a ton of depth and a ton of guys who are deserving of NBA minutes, and Tyus Jones is certainly one of them. Can really run the bench unit. At shooting guard, De'Anthony Melton averaged 9 points last year, shot very well from 3. I think he is also a great backup guard. He's a bit undersized, but he's a solid defender. He's a good 3-point shooter, can handle and pass a little bit. So yeah, I think he's also a very good fit off the bench. Tyus Jones and De'Anthony Melton. If you have good guards in the NBA, it's one of the secrets to getting a lot of regular season wins, and I think those two off the bench definitely provide a lot of solidity and a lot of consistency. At small forward, Desmond Bane averaged 9 points and shot 43% from 3 on 4 attempts a game. He projects to be a really good 3-and-D guy. Fits well with almost any other players because he doesn't need the ball. He's very happy just spawning up. And then defensively, he has decent size. He can guard, point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, and even some power forwards. So I think, yeah, we'll see if he replaces Kyle Anderson in the starting lineup because he can play in a multitude of different lineups and with a lot of different players. At power forward, Brandon Clark averaged 10 points and 5.5 rebounds last year, though it wasn't a great year given how good he was in his rookie season. I think, his jumper sort of was broken and he fell out of the rotation. So we'll see if he can find his way back into playing a big role for this Grizzlies team. I think the jumper has to get back to an okay level because then he can showcase some of the skills he had being an athletic roller, someone who can finish around the rim, someone who has a great floater, someone who has a lot of potential defensively. So we'll see. I hope he can have a bounce back year because the potential front courts of him and Jaren Jackson Jr., that just leads to a super switchy and super versatile team. And at center, Xavier Tillman, he's also a versatile defensive big who has also showed some floor spacing potential. I think he could really get some more minutes this year with Valanciunas no longer being there. So we'll see. I think the Grizzlies have a lot of young, athletic defensive bigs. So overall, I'm just wondering how much they'll miss Valanciunas' scoring. He averaged 17 points a game last year and Grayson Allen shooting. So we'll see if they'll be able to replace those two in production. We'll see if Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. can take the next step because I think those two are really going to determine how good they're going to be, both short and long term. And then I think, will they continue to be able to do all the little things that get you regular season wins? I'm talking about their great defense, how they rebound, how they limit turnovers, all that sort of thing. They were very, very good at those last year, and I don't see why they can't continue to do that this year. So, prediction, I think, losing Valanciunas could hurt them, and I think offensively at times it couldn't be great, but I think they will be in the play-in because of their defense and Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. The West is very deep and tough, so I would predict a 9 seed. I could see them being the 8 or 7 seed, but I could also see them being 10, 11 if some teams like the Pelicans and the Wolves and the Kings really show their full potential. But I think they'll be better than those teams because they're a good defensive team. So I'm going to go with the 9 seed. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.